All right, so if you would please help me welcome Reverend Gordon Bailey. Sorry I outed you on the pickleball thing.
Yeah. That's what friends are for. Good morning, folks. How's everybody doing? Great. Excellent, excellent. With that music, I couldn't be anything but excellent. And thank you for your, if you tarry too long in the pulpit, your voice might get raspy, so keep it short and sweet, right? Keep them wanting more. That's what I hear. All right. So Reverend Mike invited me, and I was a very ready and willing participant because I've been connected to your spiritual community going back to the 1980s. I had gotten out of the Navy back then, and I had wanted to stop in New Orleans and see my auntie on my trip from San Diego back to New York City, where I'm from. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Manhattanite. Harlem, Washington Heights, the Bronx, the Boogie Down, all right? Those are my places. But I've got my Long Island friend in the house because I served 3 congregations on Long Island, so you never know when you're going to meet some friends from home, right? But Reverend Mike invited me, and this connection is long-standing. My auntie was born and raised Catholic and went to Mass, I think, every day. I said, wow, Auntie, how'd you have time to be wicked and do all that? Because Sweet Lorraine used to get down now. Let me tell you, Sweet Lorraine was a party girl, but maybe that's why she went to Mass every day. But she not only went to her Catholic services, she went to a Science of the Mind service, and she had a stack of your publications in her home, and I couldn't believe my little Southern Belle auntie was as open to the universe as Science of the Mind had helped her discover. She expanded. And so I've had a love affair with you all this time. So I'm glad to be here. What a wondrous and fortuitous thing it is that Reverend Mike knew the onion was closing, and those folks of Sepulveda Unitarian Universalist needed a home. Thank you. Thank you all for providing that. Now, Mike said something about the difficulties of life and how you overcome them. There's a theme for this month or this service, and I thought, oh boy, and it's Black History Month. Are we really gonna go down this path of some difficult Negro history? I said, oh Lord, have mercy. Not again. Because there's so many positive things that part of the journey of Africans here in what's the United States. I often say, what would the United States be without a Black presence? Australia. No rock and roll, baby. No R&B. No jazz. No macaroni and cheese, because it's a Black person that put that together, right? There'd be a whole lot of stuff y'all just wouldn't have. No Michelle Obama. I don't know about that Barack, but no Michelle. No Oprah. Come on now. So this little chat that I wanted to give you was like a bit of Unitarian Universalist history. Anybody here ever been to a UU congregation? We got a few folks, thank you. And the fact that you're here reminds me that UUs don't keep people. We're a revolving door. You come in and you exit. And why do I say that? Well, Unitarians and Universalists have been here since before the founding of the United States. The Pilgrims, you remember them? The ones that claim that's where America begins? Sorry, it's Virginia. Jamestown's the original American locus. But those folks up in Massachusetts try to make you believe the Pilgrims founded everything. But they did bring the Congregational Church to America, and the Unitarians are a Congregational Church. The Universalists were a Congregational Church, and now we have 3 branches. The UCC, United Church of Christ, is a Congregationalist denomination with over 7,000 congregations. Those Pilgrims have multiplied. The Unitarian Universalist, which the two denominations merged, Unitarians and Universalists. In 1961, when I was born, they knew that there would be a boy that would grow up to be a great preacher man, I'm here to tell you. And I've been sermonizing for some 30 years now, trying to bring a different narrative to Unitarian Universalism. And here's where I'll connect Black history and Unitarian Universalism. My granduncle, the Reverend Dr. Egbert Ethelred Brown from Jamaica, is the first Black Unitarian minister. He was ordained in 1912. He was born and raised a Trinitarian, good Christian boy in Jamaica, and in Jamaica, you don't, everything. They got more churches per square mile than any place upon this earth. Jesus is centered in everything they do, man, let me tell you. Even my beloved Bob Marley calls Jah everything. Always, forever loving Jah, right? That's God. That's for them, Jesus, really, Jesus-centric. So this understanding of this Jamaican man who wants to be a Unitarian. Well, why Unitarian, not Trinitarian? Because when he studies the scriptures, Hebrew and Christian, he can't find any justification for a Trinity. Anti-Trinitarian? Yeah. When they had the Council of Nicaea in Rome, after the Emperor Constantine decides to make Christianity the religion of Rome, he sequestered all of the bishops of the known Christian world. North Africa, the Middle East, Greece, Turkey, Italy. He sequesters the bishops, right? The first 300 years of Christendom, and says, I don't care what you believe, but you're going to come out with one singular law, that is the Christian doctrine. They murdered the Unitarian bishops. You see, Jesus was a Jewish guy, and like all good Jews, God is one. This is a simple equation. So this notion of a Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost, is something that came post-Jesus after his time, and it's what the Catholic Church then promotes for the next 1,500 years. Because nobody says much of anything. The Eastern Orthodox Church happens and the Ethiopian Church happens, but they're both in line with Trinitarian thought. All right. So, Egbert Ethelred Brown, this Jamaican black man, he come to America to study at the Unitarian Seminary in Meadville, Pennsylvania. He learns all he can about Unitarianism, how to be a good Unitarian pastor. And then they tell him, well, black people, we don't have any. And black people are too ignorant to understand Unitarian lofty concepts. They're so, Boston Brahmins. They're so highfalutin. And he goes back to Jamaica and he founds the Unitarian Church of Jamaica in Ocho Rios. And if you've never been to Jamaica, please go. We need your European American money. Please go. Go and spend some. We need it badly. But it doesn't catch on in Jamaica. So he gets on a boat, some probably banana boat or something, and he rides his way to the port of New York. And he opens up a congregation in Harlem in 1920. 1920. And the who's who of the Harlem Renaissance, any of you know, like Thurgood Marshall or Langston Hughes or County Cullen or any of those names, Zora Neale Hurston, those people attend my granduncle's congregation. My father, a young man from New Orleans, Louisiana, who arrived in New York in 1926, starts to attend that congregation. So it's interesting. My father became a Unitarian, not my mother, whose uncle is the first Unitarian minister. Go figure. Mom stayed a Trinitarian, and I had to go between Unitarian congregations and the Anglican or Episcopalian churches. So I do everything. I genuflect, I kneel, I do everything, right? God the Father, God the Son, God. Fast forward, I'm in ministry and I love world religions. In fact, if I had life to live over again, I'd get a PhD in world religions, and I'd be teaching at some fine liberal arts college, smoking a pipe, driving a Mazda Miata, and being very erudite, talking about all of the various religious, symbolism within everything. Oh, I'm having affairs with graduate assistants, because that's what you do as a professor, right? That's my little fantasy. My wife is probably watching, going, no. All right. So here's the connecting the dots to the pain and going past the pain and reaching and striving for higher ground or the good. As many of you know, the story of the African American journey here in the United States has been difficult. We've got that. Lots of people have had difficult journeys. If you ever go to New York, go see the immigrant, is that what they call it? The Immigrant Museum? There's a museum in Lower Manhattan. The people lived in like rooms with no windows. It's a hideous thing to think of the Europeans that came and were poor and were mistreated upon arrival, right? But the African American story is much older than the average European story. My family first arrives here in 1639. My white ancestry from Scotland, England, Ireland, the Baileys, we've been here a long time. My black ancestry arrives here by 1658, and those white relatives own Africans as slaves. And what do white men do? They fornicate with black women because they own them. Because they can, right? That's the truth. That's why there's a whole lot of light-skinned black folks running around this United States, right? Just the realities. Aaron Judge, big home run hitter for the Yankees, right? Derek Jeter, my Yankee hero, the captain, black and white, right? This thing continues. This merging, this confluence of Africa and Europe, and then many of us are mixed up with Native Americans and others as well, right? You get this gumbo. You get this gumbo that's created, a stew out of the blended people. So from a painful place of slavery and the degradation of the Jim Crow through the civil rights era and the marches and the fighting and the pushing, we get to that high crescendo point. Barack Obama is elected twice and racism is gone from America forever. Give me a break. We're not there, people. But guess what? Through the teachings of what this congregation shares, through the teachings of Unitarian Universalism, which says in its first principle, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of all. Through the teachings of congregations of many different faith communities. I love that you light those candles. There's a higher consciousness that is becoming pervasive in this world of ours. Are there negative things? Baby, I could cry us a river with negativities. The Middle East, Sudan is about to have 800,000 people maybe starved to death. Are you aware? United Nations says 32 wars are happening on our planet right now. Go to the UN website, see what they say. But our human family, 8 billion strong, is that where we are? We're growing, many of us are thriving, and many of us are manifesting a love consciousness that is going to envelop the entirety of this world. The power is in our hands. Spirit has given us the ability to learn, to glean, to manifest, to go forth and do the good works. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, no negative situation. Don't play pickleball if you're over 50. There is no negative thing. I was a lovely brown-skinned man who lost his color. It's called vitiligo. Trust me, I had cancer, I had the vitiligo. There is nothing that can happen to us. Booker T. Washington wrote a book called Up From Slavery. Born a slave and he builds a university. My father was born on a plantation in Louisiana, moved to New Orleans, goes to school, gets a BA, gets a JD, became a lawyer, gets a PhD, Professor Dr. Joseph A. Bailey. No financial aid, no nothing. Don't let anyone ever tell you you can't achieve. Don't let any circumstance in your life, small or big, hold you back from your highest potentialities. This world of ours is meant for us to manifest love. This world of ours is meant for us to overcome difficulties as maybe the teaching stepping stones we needed to arrive at our final destinations. This world of ours gives us every possibility that ever existed within the framework of living here on earth. Anything and everything is possible. People on the moon? What? Well, yeah, we made it. People finding a cure for sickle cell. You know how sickle cell is so bad? They've got something now where they can do some kind of gene therapy. The next generation of children don't have to suffer with sickle cell. And they're going to use this same kind of medical model to eradicate diseases. They can do gene therapies. The future is now, people. And the manifestation of love must emanate from each and every one of us. Each one teach one. We've come a long way, baby, but we're not at the end of our journeys, right? The work is out there to be done. Here in Los Angeles County, are you aware? Here in the Valley, the hate crimes have manifested themselves in a new and profound way. 2019 marked, I'm going to call it a low point, but on the statistical analysis, it's a high point of hate crimes here in the Valley. Our Jewish friends, our black friends, our Latinx, can I say Latinx? Latino, Latina, right? Got to be PC as best you can. And our queer brothers and sisters. So we're in a struggle, but it doesn't have to be our individual struggle. We've been exposed to something that gives us a vehicle to get to higher ground. This room should be filled because every Sunday ought to be Bring a Friend Sunday. Your neighbors and your friends need what this place has to offer, what Centers for Spiritual Living have to offer. You shouldn't be 400 congregations. You should be 40,000 congregations. Unitarian Universalists shouldn't be 1,000 congregations. They've been here since the beginning of time. They ought to have 30 million congregations. We, the people who have the opportunity to be exposed to this kind of level of consciousness, the teachings that are available to you, must manifest that by giving it to others. Don't keep it to yourselves. Put a little love in your heart. Give it away. Who's a fan of Fred Rogers? I was in Pittsburgh this past year. Mr. Rogers is my hero. What would a black boy from Harlem who wanted to be a thug do loving Fred Rogers? Fred Rogers did more to dismantle racism than almost anybody in this country by putting his white foot in the water with a black foot. Do any of you remember that? The pools of the United States were segregated in most places. Heroes come in every size, shape, and color. Heroes. Ernest Holmes, I don't know how do you deify him? He's almost a deity, not quite. He's a man, huh? An exceptional man. There are exceptional leaders, right? There are exceptional people who bring their gifts and talents. I heard your choir. I was here. You all sounded good. Yes, yes, yes. You all have the abilities. So, I'm going to remind you, Black History Month. I'm the progeny of the first black Unitarian. I'm the progeny of former slaves. I'm the progeny of Black, white, Native American union, and I'm here to promote oneness, unity, intellectual stimulation for all, not what Florida's doing, whitewashing history, right? We need to know the Native American, the indigenous people's story. We need to know everyone's story. Narrative history has to be proclaimed, studied, revealed. So here are my simple words for you. Come from your own text. I want to close you out with this, because today's reading touched me. And I met Shirley Chisholm once. You remember Shirley Chisholm? The first Black woman to run for the Democratic office of president. Congresswoman from the city of New York, Brooklyn. School teacher, Shirley Chisholm. So the words here say, racism is so universal in this country, so widespread and deep-seated that it is invisible because it is so normal. Let's normalize love. Let's normalize togetherness. And Dr. Holmes, is he doctor? He should be Dr. Holmes. He says, an absolute unexpressed has no reality. The takeaway, the affirmation is, I embrace and respond to the heart of the question. The question isn't whether or not we're going to make it. The question is, are we going to make it together? I close you with these words. I wrote a text. I ought to send it to you so you could read it. But what's the point in reading this and not seeing your beautiful faces? If I read the text, I can't see your faces. So as the light tells me it is my time, I close you out with these words from Bob Marley. Bob Marley says, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. He says, give thanks and praise to the Most High, and we will all feel right. Let's feel right together, people. Thank you.